Pushing Dating Motra.
Music and Ireland Trime Podcast.
I'm Lejla.
I'm Leonarda.
Welcome home. We have the biggest news of the pod.
Yes, we
since
do.
we started.
Yes. I am pregnant. I am pregnante.
We are actually having a whole Trime baby. Okay, first of all, it's not my baby. It's you and your husband.
yeah, but it is a Trime baby. It's the
Yay.
first baby in an actual Trime, and I'm ecstatic.
I know, I feel like collectively we're so excited about it.
Yeah. It came paprit pakuito, like it just came out of the blue, and I'm just excited to be pregnant, and I guess to actually bring a child into this world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like for a long time, me and you like privately have been having conversations in the background about your wishes and hopes for having a family and your struggles with fertility as well. And it was such a private journey for you that you never really even spoke about it.
No.
On the pod, it was almost like you'd close yourself off to the conversation and it was like a boundary. And then felt pregnant.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I know. I think, when you become so used to rejection, not rejection, but just negative tests constantly, you've got PCOS, you can't go to the doctors because the doctors in the UK or anywhere in the world, there isn't enough research in women's healthcare at all, let alone PCOS. We see it in endometriosis. We see it in all kinds of women's healthcare. And when I was diagnosed with PCOS, they just told me, come back when you want to get pregnant. And that was it. And the thing is for myself, I've always been against medical intervention. And I mean in the sense of like going for IVF and doing all those things because I know the mental load it takes.
Yeah, you said quite often you didn't want to put your body through it.
No, I think it has a lot to do with maturing and with letting things just play out how naturally they should. But also I think it has a lot to do with faith. And I'm very much like, if it's meant for me, it will happen. And if it's not.
Such a strong mindset to have, I think, to just kind of let fate take its course. Because I think a lot of women who have that desire to become a mum and to be pregnant would look at every single option and IVF would be a really strong option for them. But you were always really strong, like, I don't want to put my body through that. And it was such a strong stance to hold. I don't know if stance is the right word, but it was a really strong decision to make, and especially emotionally.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we did struggle a few years with fertility. We did test every single month. It got to the point where I was testing ovulation, which you can't really do with PCOS. You don't know when you ovulate. So you could probably ovulate maybe once a year, if that. If you're lucky, you might not. I didn't have periods for a year. I probably had 2 or 3 periods every single year, and that was it. And it was purely because I would go to Turkey and I would change the whole environment, so my body would go into shock. So a period would come, but there wasn't any
pattern.
You
couldn't track the pattern.
No, exactly. You couldn't track it, and it did. I'm not gonna lie, it drained me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It fucking drained me, and fertility isn't spoken in an open way anywhere in the Western world, in our community, in the Albanian community. No one actually speaks about fertility properly out in the open. No one actually goes through all the struggles that couples go through, because yes, the female takes most of the burden, but my husband would also start questioning himself. No one talks about fertility, and it's a huge burden. Women have most of the burden. It's true, but no one actually goes into the medical side of it. No one.
Well, yeah, because the expectation is you're the woman, you get married.
Yeah,
it's on you to get pregnant.
Exactly.
Like, it's a one-sided thing,
exactly.
Right?
There is no openness of the man also has to get tested. What is going on with the man's situation? And then if you've got the added pressure of you've got PCOS, then it's that added pressure. You've got 50% of having a child, and that's it. There is no. It's really hard. I mean, for me, I did so much. I tried all the herbal remedies. I dug in and did so much research on PCOS. I didn't trust doctors, and I still don't trust doctors in PCOS because there is no research. There is no NHS-backed research for PCOS. the level that I can find from actual scientists.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of research. When it came to pretty much the last resort for me, one, it was because I just felt so robbed in my own body as just a woman, not particularly just fertility, but everything. PCOS has such a mental burden on you, such a physical burden on you. You feel really tired constantly. It's a death sentence for a lot of women. And trigger warning, we are not medical professionals here, but I decided to go down the Mounjaro route. And I started taking that, and that was the first time that my periods came back.
Yeah.
Every single month, I actually started losing loads of weight. I was eating so much healthier. I fucking loved broccoli again, because pre-PCOS, I was a massive broccoli and vegetable fan, and I felt like my life was actually back to normal. And then, wrapped up, got pregnant.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I knew you could get pregnant on Mounjaro, and we haven't been using protection. This is really TMI, but we haven't been using protection in a long time. So for me, it was like, if it happens, it happens. Great.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I've been with my husband 12 years.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hey, if it doesn't, like, I married my husband for him. I didn't marry him to breed.
To have children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then it just happened. And actually, it was you that were like, Leo, go and do a pregnancy
I think
test.
you're pregnant. Go do a pregnancy test.
And then I did it, and I was like, I literally sent you a message. I was like,
hi, Brian.
Clear the Dan Uniboteza.
No, it was such. It was just. I don't know how to explain. Like, receiving that news was like a privilege.
Yeah.
Because I know how much like you guys really wanted it, even though I think you, as your friend, like I kind of witnessed you maybe sometimes get in the space of acting like you didn't want it.
Yeah.
Just almost like as a self-preservation, like
Yeah.
as a defense to feel let down.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a really difficult space to be in when you really want something, but also have to act like you really don't, so that you don't start feeling maybe depressed or anxious and going into that spiral. So it was just such great, exciting news.
That's so nice. Thank you. You have to protect yourself. And the only way I know how to protect myself is just kind of like distance myself. Yeah, and like sabr, patience, having so much patience. And again, that comes with discipline. I guess, again, with faith, with my faith. It just comes with that discipline of, if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's not meant to be, it's not going to be. And I always had in my head, if I don't have my own child, I'm definitely going to adopt. So it was going to happen one way or another. So that kind of like settled my nerves. But I think having your own child can never replace, obviously, adoption. But it's, it's an option out there for you. But I just wish we spoke about fertility a bit more openly in our community, because women are put down so much. One, if they can't have kids, and then number two, if it's not a boy, and if they can't have another child, just to have one is a blessing.
And I think just the emotional burden as well on like getting married and then knowing that expectation, that loud expectation of then going straight into having children. Exactly. That's just that's just in our culture, right? And I can't imagine the level of emotional burden that a woman feels when they're having fertility struggles. And I feel like it's so unfair and so unjust, because it must be really lonely and it's not deserved. It's not deserved to have all of that emotional burden just because it's the done thing to get married and have children.
Exactly.
Like, there's so much more to life than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's my personal opinion. Anyway. I know that, like, so look, I'm fully aware that a lot of women in our community don't think like me, especially when it comes to motherhood and having children. But I truly believe that for me, being a mum is not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
Like, it is like, motherhood is the least exciting part of who I am, of my life. Exactly. But I'm also very aware that a lot of women in our community don't feel like that. Yeah. They've been conditioned to think and feel very differently. Yeah. Or they genuinely just do want it as well.
Exactly. In our community, it's almost like a marketing campaign of, you need to be a mum because that's the only way you're going to be valued as a female.
Patriarchy's marketing campaign.
Yeah. It's just, that's what it is. It's a marketing campaign, and it conditions you to think that way consistently. So when you can't have a child easily and you're struggling for so long, it almost makes you feel like I'm not even a woman.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what am I? What's my value? What's my place in the world?
Exactly. In the beginning of my marriage, when I used to go back home, everyone would ask me, when are you having a child? What are you waiting for? Blah, 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 blah. It happened for so long until I just said to everyone, I can't have kids.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And no one's asked me ever again, because it just got to a point where I'm going to tell you I can't have kids to make you shut up, because for me, it's, I wouldn't ask you something that I don't want people asking me. I wouldn't do something to you, not you, but
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
in general, I wouldn't do something to someone that I don't want someone to do to me.
Yeah.
So I don't go out asking people about fertility, their kids, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't make that pre-assumption or an assumption that you want to have kids. You might not want to have kids. It's not my place to judge. So I try to, understand people back at home, but also, why ask in the first place? Is it your business?
You just don't know. Yeah.
You're not sharing the bed with me. You're not living my life with me.
But also, like, and what if you just turn around and was like, I actually just don't want children.
Exactly.
I actually just don't want children.
Exactly. Then you're demonized.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you even married in the first place?
Why are you married in the first place? As in, like, the only reason to get married or to have a partner is to have children.
Yeah. And it's almost this idea of like, my husband has wasted his whole life with a woman that doesn't want to have kids, with a woman that can't have kids. How sad is it for him?
And let's not negate as well that back in the day, families would divorce the wife if she couldn't have children.
Or they take multiple wives.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I don't know of any case. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I don't know of any personal cases where that did happen. But I did witness cases where the woman was let go of if she couldn't have children, and then he just remarried again with someone who
that's crazy. Because I don't know cases of like, I do know cases of where men did take up multiple wives because the first one couldn't have kids, so they took up multiple wives because the first wife's family were like, no, I'm not taking her back. How disgusting.
Yeah.
How disgusting.
Yeah.
And then the next hurdle for women in our community, especially if you're living in Albania, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia, anywhere that's not the UK or the US or Western world, is you don't have the maternity care that you have here.
We do, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
You don't have, even though maternity in the NHS is not to the standard it should be, because I've seen the reports and everything, but I can hold my hands up and say, like, alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful. I've got a whole team. Yeah. Because I'm high risk, obviously, age and, everything going on. So I've got a team. But back at home, I know women that didn't even get the option of gas and air or even epidural, or, they didn't have the equipment to do really advanced ultrasounds on women. And if you had, I don't know, preeclampsia or gestational diabetes, until recently it's more like just brushed off, unless you've got the money to go to an American hospital in Kosovo, or wherever. If you've actually got the money to pay privately, that's a whole different situation. I'm talking about public access, and that's another hurdle.
See, you're really, really good, at talking all the way around. All the way around, but not actually about how you felt this whole entire time for over a decade of being with your husband and really having this desire to be a mum and to have your own children after raising your siblings. What kind of emotional impact has that had on you this whole time? Because we can talk around and concepts and theories, and we can make this an abstract the whole time. I want to know about the emotional impact it had on you.
Honestly speaking, maybe it sounds weird to say, but it almost made me really scared to even have my own children. I mean that in the sense of, when you raise your siblings and you're a child yourself and you go into teenagehood and then adulthood and you inherit these toxic traits that is normal. You are going to inherit them, and then you have to work on yourself to unlearn them. It makes you really scared about having your own kids because you don't know how you're going to raise them. I've worked so hard on myself to make myself really patient. I've enjoyed life to the max as much as possible. Because if I was rich, it'd be a different story. But as much as possible, me and my husband have strengthened our marriage to this point where, like, I would wish this marriage on my own child. But
so beautiful.
Thank you. But I just, honestly speaking, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my ass. I just a thought.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what teaches my son.
It's like when Dan takes a bit, when I say, "How do you say in English? How do you say in English?"
Because I was gonna say like more there, but anyways, I don't want to sound like blow smoke up my ass. But the work that we've put in this marriage, and I say work, I mean that in the sense that we've really opened each other up to each other.
Yeah, because your foundations weren't about having a family. You were a family.
Exactly.
Just the two of you.
Exactly. And I want that for my own child, whether they're a boy or a girl. I want it because it's the safest and the most healthiest relationship that I've seen. But for me personally, I've always felt really scared because it raises questions of, how am I going to be really bossy? Am I going to be like a really toxic mum? Am I going to bring all these toxic traits and impose them on this child? Am I going to raise them and they take a whole different route because of me? It raises, and I guess that's a normal feeling, but then the other one is, and I think a lot of women feel this, is, am I going to die in pregnancy? Now that I'm pregnant?
Yeah, because, and I think we romanticize pregnancy so much for women, and that's just in general. I don't think it's just in our community, in our culture. I think just in general, everywhere, we romanticize pregnancy and childbirth for women, when in actual fact, being pregnant is the most vulnerable time of a woman's life. Physically, so emotionally, mentally. It's quite literally life or death. Especially given birth, it's life or death for women. And I can't talk about this subject and just act like, again, as I said, like as if it's just this romantic concept. It's
definitely not
so dangerous. It's such
not
a vulnerable time for women.
It's so vulnerable. And even though I'm, in my early second trimester, I've already had a conversation with my husband about the worst case scenario, about if I can't speak for myself, if I can't advocate for myself, I need you to do this because you are my husband, you are my safe space. If you can't do it, then what the fuck are you even doing here in the first place?
And I love that you've had that conversation with him. It's like kind of showing him how to advocate for you and to be your voice. And I think that's so empowering as well, to ensure that you still have a sense of autonomy in that decision making if you don't have the capacity to do so.
Exactly. And I think a lot of women don't have that safety to do that. A lot of women just go with the flow, go with whatever. They don't consult their husband because their husband isn't a support in any way, shape or form. Unfortunately, the husband is just there like a big boy. That's big boy. I've made sure that you're coming to my birth plan. You have to come to my birth plan because if something goes wrong,
absolutely, it's his responsibility to be as involved as possible.
Exactly.
This is a joint effort.
Exactly, because you don't know what will happen, Lejla. You don't. So it's that. It's just the fear of, if I'm not here, and you know me. I will choose a child before I choose myself. That's just my character. I can't. It's who I am. It's who I am. Whereas I know he would choose me over this child. And I know that if I leave my Amanette, you are choosing this child over me, he's got no choice but to honour it. And this is going really dark, but you have to think about these things. It's not all
I'm not
roses.
Gonna lie, this is really, like, this might sound like it's really dark, but this is just Leo. Like, Leo catastrophizes, and then works her way backwards.
Like before this podcast, I was just in the tears before this episode. I was like, wow.
Leo catastrophizes and thinks about the worst case scenario, plans for it. But however, in the context of being pregnant, I think it's really important that women do have that space to think this way and to be critical of the care around them, and not just the medical care, but also the care in their partnership, the care from their family, the care from the wider community, because it is the most vulnerable time of your life. That's the reality. I can't sit here and romanticize pregnancy and birth. Like, I know when after I had Bella, because my pregnancy and birth was so traumatic that I don't want to get into it today. But I remember thinking, like, why did everyone lie? Why did everybody lie and say that after birth is so beautiful and that as soon as you hold your baby, you forget it? Bella's going to be 12 in July. I still remember the pregnancy and the birth like it happened yesterday. There was nothing romantic about it.
No, you don't forget it. And I've been to 2 births. I've been to both of my sisters' births. yes, it's amazing in the sense of you see life being born, but it's not fucking easy. It's the hardest thing that any woman goes through during pregnancy, during birth. I've been so blessed. Like, honestly, the God has blessed me, alhamdulillah, that I haven't actually felt.
Yeah, you've just been glowing this whole... I feel like you've aged in reverse. Like I said to you, I don't remember where we went. And I was like, we took a picture and I was like, oh my God, you look like you're 21. You had like barely any makeup on. I was like, you look so good.
It's just pregnancy glow.
Yeah.
The pregnancy glow does it to you. But I didn't know I was pregnant because I didn't have any symptoms. But that also made me feel really singled out in the sense of like, I feel so blessed, but I also feel so guilty for not having the experiences of a lot of other women.
Yeah.
And and not knowing from the beginning. But also, I've never in my entire life felt as vulnerable as I do now. It makes me so sad to know how vulnerable I am because not in like, I mean sad because I've always been so ultra independent. I've never had to lean on anyone. And now that I have to...
Now you have to rely on other people.
On everyone.
Yeah.
If I drop something on the floor, pick it up. Now it's like to pick it up.
As the eldest daughter, where you've had to build that hyper independence and that feeling like I can't rely on anyone, I have to do everything for myself. And now you're like, oh my God, I've got no choice but to rely on other people. That's how vulnerable I am.
Exactly. And then even just emotions. I've never cried as much.
Those pregnancy hormones are evil. Evil. And that's and that is like, you have such a lovely relationship. You've got, you know, like really good support network and really good like relationship in the community and things like that. Imagine for women who don't even have those foundations.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so heartbreaking because women that don't have that foundation and have to go through it all alone, cook and clean, get up at 5 a.m, do what they need to do, or they just don't have the family around them, or people treat pregnancy as just another thing.
Yeah, because you're just expected to get on with it. That was
exactly.
Exactly.
It's not an actual like, okay, now I can't physically do a lot of these things. I can't, I can't be around smoke. I can't be around cigarettes. How many families smoke inside in our community? 90% do. And if you're pregnant or if you've got a newborn, they don't give a shit. They don't care. Most families don't care. Mine are different because I'll kick you out. Like, it's not, sorry, bye. For me, it's heartbreaking to know that there are women out there that don't have anyone to turn to, and the only people that they have to turn to is probably social media women. And then that's another layer of this fake life.
Yeah.
You know, you see women giving birth.
Romantic lifestyle,
You see women giving birth, and then the next day they're like getting up and doing all these things, and that's not reality.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom.
Yeah, no, it's not. No.
I sound like I'm so bitter because I have had the most horrific experiences in my life, clearly. But it's more about like, I want there to be a space for women to be informed.
Yeah.
So that when they are making these decisions of whether they want to have a family, get pregnant or not, that it is the best decision that they've made for themselves.
Exactly. And I think that's what's happening in the West. Like, women are being educated a bit more. Like, they're actually looking for the education. They're not being educated by the system, because the system doesn't want you to be educated. They want to keep you stupid. But women are actually going out of their own way to find this education, and that's why birth rates are falling down in the West, whereas in our community the birth rates are still really high, because that's your path, the path of honor. The path that this is your bloodline. It is your duty to have kids, and not just one, but as many as you can. And as long as they're boys, you're set for life. And that's it. And I'm honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I want a girl. I just want a girl.
I know you said that from the beginning. You're like, I want it to be a girl.
I want a girl. And we were coming home yesterday from my parents' house after iftar, and Parhai Ramazan, everyone. Happy Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak. And I hope everyone has an easy...
It's just a blessed, peaceful...
Yeah, I hope everyone has a lovely Ramadan. I'm so sad I can't fast this year, but, blessings everywhere. We were coming home yesterday, and I said to my husband, I was like, I want a girl. over a boy, because a girl bre vich Chikash prend at the end of the day. The way I look after my mum, and I'm so close to my mum, I can't see a boy doing the same thing. That might be biased, but it's just from experience.
Yeah, and I think probably if you listen to it, it does sound biased, but it's from your own personal lived experience as what you witnessed, I guess, growing up in your own personal life. Because I have witnessed, like, in my family, my brothers, in my family, my uncles, the way they took care of my grandma.
It's a different level.
My uncles are angels.
Yeah.
Died.
Yeah.
I think everyone, like, a lot of people like, "Sättet died att han var
Yeah. Well, I mean, died are always...
But the way my uncles look after my nan right until the day she died,
it's amazing.
Even the burial, everything.
Yeah.
She just like a queen. Like she didn't need and want for anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, that's that's.
But then, but again, like they died. Like just my mum and her siblings are like that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Exactly.
And that's the way that my grandma raised them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's testament to her.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I really want to go. I think for me it has a lot to do with feminism. It has a lot to do with the fact that I am more worried about raising a son in this world than I am raising a girl. And that might be very controversial and very like, how the fuck do you think like that? I think like that because I think of my son, if I have a son, that child is going to grow up into a man.
Yeah.
And then that man has to, whether they choose, to get married or not, it's not my business. I don't care. But let's say they choose to get married to a woman. My biggest fear is how they're going to treat that woman.
Yeah, because I think the reality is in a patriarchal way of living, which is not just in our community, in the West as well. No matter how you raise your sons, they're going to be susceptible to misogyny, to violence towards women and girls the second they leave the front door. There's nothing you can do about that. You cannot control that.
I know.
The best thing that you can do as parents is hold your children accountable.
Exactly.
And be realistic with them. I think it's a really naive and ignorant way to be like, that's not going to be my son.
No.
Why do you always think it's not going to be your son?
It's stupid. It's stupid thinking.
Exactly. It's a really naive way of thinking, and it kind of almost blocks you from being able to raise children in the most intellectual, both emotionally and mentally, like in the most intelligent way.
Exactly. And it kind of frees you from this burden, like, and that's why these parents would be like, boys will be boys, men will be men. No.
No, never.
No. And, girls have to have a different kind of... No, I don't believe that. And it's why I favour a girl over a boy. Because a girl, I can be so honest about all the patriarchy, all the misogyny. I can raise them in a way that I know would benefit them later down the road. A son, the minute that child leaves the house, they're hit with patriarchy.
They don't even need to leave the house now. They can just open up their phones on social media.
So it's harder. And that's the way I think of it. I don't think of it, it's easier to raise a son, blah, blah, blah. I think it's so hard because you are fighting the system in all kinds of ways.
Literally, yes, exactly. You're fighting against the patriarchy that's been there for hundreds of years now.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you, just take you a bit back to before pregnancy and this period of, trying but not really trying, but really trying, right? Yeah. How did you feel watching other women have like pregnancy announcements and, having children and seemingly not struggling to get pregnant and maybe not seemingly, because you don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. Did that feel lonely for you?
In the beginning, yes. And I mean that in the beginning of when we were trying and it was just not working and the realities of PCOS set in. It was so lonely. It also made you question, like, why not me? And, I know I've got PCOS, but am I really that much, that damned to not have a child? And then as time went on and as I started to just accept it is what it is, then I came on the other side of it, and I was really happy for people, and I was like, thank God it's not me. Like,
that's me now.
Because when you're in really like specific situations, or where like really it would be such a big burden, where you've got you're struggling personally anyways in the first place, having a child in that specific time is an added pressure. So every single time I would see cousins get married and have kids, they would be so young. So I would just feel really sorry for them.
Yeah.
Because they're not because they're having a child, because a child is a massive blessing, but it's the fact that you have been conditioned. Yeah. But you have been conditioned to get married and have this child really quickly, and you're still really young. Your frontal lobe hasn't even developed. You're still so young. So yeah, it felt really, in the beginning, it felt so lonely and very much like, when everyone around you doesn't have this problem, you don't have anyone to talk to about it. The only person you can talk to is your partner, but your partner also is going through the same thing. So you're both in this bubble, and neither of us have anyone to speak around us, because everyone around us had kids really easily. We don't really know a lot of people that struggled.
And I think if you had spoken to other people in the community, they would have just said, "Hi, sorted."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not what you want to hear. Like, you just want the space to actually just talk about it. Just a space to discuss how this is making you feel.
Yeah, but also a lot of people don't have the emotional intelligence in our
community.
community.
That's why often it always is that response.
Yeah, exactly. They would much, when I spoke to, like, as time went on, my mum, like, after I told her PCOS and blah blah, and I would educate her about it and how it works and stuff, people back at home and my mum, all my siblings, would literally start calling up doctors in, like, Macedonia and try and create appointments for me. Go to this person, they can do Reiki, they can do this, hypnotherapy on you, they can do this, like, all the, and because I don't, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, but energy is one thing, but making someone fertile from energy is a whole, it's a stretch, massive stretch, when you've got pretty much a disease that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. No amount of energy.
Condition,
condition. There's no amount of energy is going. It's like saying to someone, go for hypnotherapy and you've got cancer. How is that going to work? It doesn't. So that's the only help I ever got was, I know this doctor in Macedonia. He got 10 women pregnant and they all had fertility problems. And I'd be like, okay, so what is the remedy? Like, what do they do? Oh, they pump you full of pills. And I was like, no. Yeah. No, absolutely
and isn't that
not.
Interesting, actually, and I get that people mean well, that the immediate response is and to solve the problem, instead of just sit with the person and sit through their pain.
Yeah, because they don't know. I've given a lot of grace to people around me because they don't know. They don't know how to deal with it emotionally. My mum's had 5 of us. My nan had 8 kids. My mum has had 5. The only person that I know struggled with fertility was my aunt. She struggled for almost 8 years, and then she had 5, which makes me suspect that my whole maternal side all have PCOS, because I can see all the symptoms that they have PCOS. But it's also another added worry that this child might have PCOS if they're a woman. It's a high chance. And that's another thing that I have to then deal with them. But people around in our community, they just don't know how to help you in any way, shape or form. And it makes you lonely. It makes you start questioning yourself. It also makes you start questioning, as an Albanian woman, I can't deny it. It also made me start questioning, what's the point in my marriage? Because you kind of get to that point where you're now
falling into that trap.
Yeah, you're falling into that trap, and you're like, well, what's the point? What's the point? And until like you kind of redirect, because marriage is always redirection. If you stay in the same kind of monotone, it's going to get boring. So you have to redirect, you have to redevelop.
And that's where I think, because in our culture it's like, get married, have children. That's the point of marriage, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the point of marriage. The point of marriage is partnership. And
exactly.
love and care.
Exactly.
And this lifelong journey you take on together. Like me and Dan, I mean, we have spoken about whether we're going to have children or not, and whether we go on to actually explore, like actually doing IVF route, or whether we go through adoption. For us, it's very much like, if whatever happens, we're so in love with each other, and we've created this relationship that it's fine if it happens and it's fine if it doesn't. It's not a big thing in our relationship, if that makes sense. Like, we'd love to, But if it doesn't happen,
exactly, then that's where me and my husband got to. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad it did happen, because I think the love that we both share with each other and we have for each other has created a bundle of joy. I think that it makes me excited for both. It makes me excited that I get to be their parent, but also my husband gets to be a parent, because I see him with other kids. He is just he's so good with other kids. He's so good. He's so smart with them. He's so, he does a lot of play fighting with my nephew, like jumping on his shoulders, and my nephew on my husband. Obviously not the other way around, but and it's very, you see it, and when you love someone so much and you see how they're with other kids, it makes you want to have kids with that person, because that child then inherits half of them.
Yeah. But I think there's also a lot to be said about the relationship you have with you and your husband. And I said this, like, and I will die on this hill, that this is going to be the most blessed child in our community to have you guys as parents.
Thank you so much.
Like, they're the ones who are going to be blessed, because the partnership that you two have is chef's kiss. Like, the way he looks after you, the way he respects you, the way he listens to you is exactly how a partner should be.
Yeah.
And I've said it to you so many times, like, I'm not worried about you.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I'm not worried, like, you're fine.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not worried for myself either. I think it's just for, I think it's just as a female, because you're so vulnerable, everything kind of just sits in the back of your head. So you're constantly like, is this, is it going to be fine? Is it going to be this? Because since we found out I got pregnant, I haven't cooked, I haven't cleaned, I haven't done anything. Tomorrow my parents are coming over for iftar. Everyone was like, no, I don't want to I don't want Leo to be tired and blah blah. And my husband was like, Leo doesn't do anything. Like, even if she wanted to, she's not allowed. So I did come over. Like, she'll be fine. Yeah. So, and I'm so blessed. Yeah. So blessed. I wish that this sort of relationship was normal for every single woman. Yeah. And it honestly breaks my heart that it isn't, because every single woman deserves that kind of relationship and that kind of partner. And there's a lot to be said, the fact that he was born and raised in Kosovo. So
everyone's always shocked when you tell them that, aren't they? They're always so shocked, because I guess their misconception is that if he was born and raised there, I guess maybe that he would have just followed the patriarchal culture, like the way things are. No, but he's complete opposite.
He's like a needle in a haystack, and everyone admires him. My whole family, everyone, but they don't learn anything from him. But they all admire him, and they all admire, like, they're all like, Leo's husband they call him a sultan. He's a sultan. He loves, he kisses the ground that Leo walks on.
As he should, as every partner should.
And it's, and it's like, but you should want that for your own daughters.
Yeah. For yourself as well.
This is what you should want. But yeah, I'm truly blessed. It's the month of Ramadan. I'm truly blessed to have a partner like my husband. And 12 years, we've been married for 10 almost this year, 12 years together. It didn't start this way. It started very toxic in terms of me. I was the toxic one. I'm not gonna lie, but we worked on it so hard together, because he's the only man for me, really. There is no other man for me. And here we are. Now we get to extend our love to a child, and it it makes me feel really ready, and I'm not scared of our relationship.
And I think even at the age, you're 32, right?
Yeah.
I think that is a great age to have children. I only feel ready now if I was to have a child, this is when I feel ready too. I had Bella when I was 25. I way too young. I mean, my circumstances were a lot different as well, where I was in life and all of that. But I think, like, I was way too young. I think the stability you have in your 30s is completely different to the stability you have in your 20s.
100%.
But again, so many women in our community, or so many couples in our community, have children so young, because it's just the done thing. It's just what's expected. But the emotional maturity, and even like the financial stability where you are in your life, is, you can't even compare it into your 30s.
No.
Like, only now at the age of 36 do I genuinely feel like I could have a child and I would feel comfortable and safe to. But when I first met Dan, she was really open with me. She was like, yeah, I do want to have a baby. And I was like, I don't. I'm done. Like, I never want to have children in the first place. I have Bella. I love her to death. I don't want anymore. I'm happy with her.
Yeah.
The irony is, obviously, our relationship grew. And then I was like, actually, I'd have a whole football team with you.
Isn't
Turned
it
out
weird?
I just didn't want to have children with men.
Isn't it how weird how it works that way? Because the person you love, you just want to recreate with them because you love them so much and you just want little people of them, like
and for
kids.
us, like if we wanted to, we could go down the IVF route, so we do have that privilege to do so, but and it would be Dan to carry. It wouldn't be me. I'm never going to be pregnant again. If you gave me hysterectomy this afternoon, I'd say yes. I swear to God, I don't ever want to be pregnant again. I don't ever want to have more children.
Good thing you're in a relationship with a woman, because that would never happen.
But I also I guess like our priorities in our relationship are so different as well. Like we prioritize our careers, we prioritize the relationship that we have now between each other, and also our relationship, the three of us, me, Bella, Dan, together as a family. That is just very much like if the time comes, we're like, actually now the time is right to have a baby, because we're lesbians. You don't get pregnant by accident.
No.
I don't know if anyone knows that, but you don't get pregnant by accident.
Hopefully
when you're
everyone
lesbian.
knows that.
The irony, I always say, like, it's so ironic that I thought I didn't want to have children, and it just turns out that I just didn't want to have children with men.
I can't wait for like a little Dan.
But honestly, the thing is like if we don't, we're not devastated by that.
Content.
Yeah, like we're not devastated by that. But I'm very aware, and I acknowledge that that's not the reality for a lot of women.
It's not. It's not a reality for a lot of women. A lot of women. It has a lot of resemblance to The Handmaid's Tale, where you're constantly, only chosen as a breeder, and that is your purpose. And you've got the added complexity of women in our community are looked at like statues. You are judged from head to toe. There are even songs about our hips and childbearing hips.
It's embedded in everything in our culture, in everything.
And you are praised if you have children and you were able to look after a whole house of 20 people. I don't think that's a praise. I think that's a fucking abuse. It's abuse. In my eyes, it's abuse. You do not expect of anyone. You do not expect of anyone, let alone a woman, to bear children and then look after 19 other members of your own family that she was not raised with, or she has absolutely no debt to. And even your own kids, and I live by this, I will die by this. We do not fucking create kids for them to look after us. Kids are created, we create them, we love them, we raise them, and they go on and do what they want with their life. I'm not creating this child for this child to then come back to me and wash my bum. That's not fucking happening. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm having this child so that I can leave a legacy behind. That's what I want this child to have, not the worry of I need to look after mom and dad in their old age. If they come and look after me, great. It's it's an added blessing for them. If they don't, okay, I'm Borgian. That's the way I see it.
So what do you think you are going to do different? How are you going to raise this child differently to how you have seen the way the community raises children, or how you were raised?
I think first and foremost, in a very open and loving environment. I want this child to be raised in a faith-based household before a cultural household. Not imposing it, but more of just the things that I know and I love, I want them to learn. And then whatever choice they make after they know Charshka, it's up to them. But the main thing that I'm gonna do so differently is talk to them in a calm manner. Not raise my voice when I'm just trying to speak to them. Be emotionally available. I think we overthink parenting, especially in our community, so much. I think we try to think of like, feed them, school them, educate them. Like,
that's just basics.
All of that.
That's just a child's human rights. Like, you're not doing anything special by meeting. I'm sorry, someone has to say it. No, there is nothing special about meeting a child. Literal human rights.
Exactly, but you're not actually offering them the emotional availability. You're not actually sitting down with them and going through what a bad touch and a good touch is. Well, you're not actually sitting down with them and asking them questions about their day or like what they like or would they like to do this. You're not actually giving them your own time. You're not I grew up in a household where my parents never had time.
Yeah, but it was survive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
survive,
so
survive,
much different
survive.
then,
Yeah. And because of that now, in my adulthood, it's a very, it's you don't have like you have a close relationship, but you don't have an emotional relationship.
Right, yeah.
You have just a transactional relationship almost. And I don't want that for my child. I want my child to whatever they do, whatever they want, whatever they don't like, to come to me, to go to their dad. I don't care who they go to. They go to you, go Dan. I don't care. Just go to someone. Like, I don't want to make them feel like they can't go to someone and not speak to them. I don't care if it's not me. You know, at the end, of course it hurts, but I don't care. That's,
you know what, it actually won't hurt.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised. You'll actually feel like, I'm so glad that my child has someone else to go to, because Bella doesn't talk to me about everything. She knows she can, and she knows she has that space to do so, but there are some things where she feels more comfortable talking to Dan about, talk to my best friend about, like, you know, she has those safe spaces elsewhere. That's not just me and her, because I think regardless of how you raise children, I do think they do grow up to sometimes feel like they don't want to burden their parents emotionally, especially when they're really emotionally intelligent, which Bella is, which is a little bit like a double-edged sword when you do raise a child who is wise emotionally like that. And she thinks like, I don't want to tell mum this because I don't want her to feel guilty, or I don't want her to take on this on top of everything else. So instead she turns to Dan, or she turns to other people that she trusts, other adults that she trusts in her life. And actually, like, I hold nothing, there is zero resentment. I'm like, should I'm so glad that I chose these people to be in my life, that my daughter can turn to. Like, there's been so many times where Bella will be like, Mum, like, Dan is a more available mum than you are. And I know that's not to say that she's saying that I'm not available. It's just that there are things that she feels like she can talk to Dan more about. And I just think, I'm so glad. That means I chose the right partner.
Yeah, exactly.
I chose a really good partner. So you might feel like, oh, that's going to hurt if they don't turn to me. I promise you, you won't be hurt.
And that's what I want. Yeah. I think that's going to be the main difference, is openness. Talk to whoever you want, whoever makes you feel comfortable. If it's not me, if it's not your dad, whoever around the family, just someone. And just be really, I will also want them to have creative freedom. I want them to feel free in their creativity, to think the way they want to think, to do the things they want to do, to try the things they want to try, without fear, without this actual like, oh, I need to go to uni and I need to either become a doctor, lawyer, blah blah blah. I don't want that for them. If my child decides to be a zookeeper, I don't care. As long as it makes you healthy.
As long as they're happy. I don't care.
I don't care. As long as it honestly fulfills this passion in you, I don't care. If you want to be a taxi driver, I don't care. I don't care. My job is there. My job is to make sure that I give you as much of opportunities and just make sure you grow up well. That is my job. My job is nothing more than that, and love you unconditionally. I think that's the massive main thing. And I shared this post on my stories yesterday about the older sibling, and how when an older sibling like me and you have a hard time expressing their feelings or their emotions or their thoughts, it's because they've never actually had that unconditional, safe and loving space. It's always been conditional. And because of that, your nervous system is fucked up. Everything is fucked up. And then you've got all these conditions added on to you physically. And that's the one thing I don't want for this child. I just say whatever you want to say and love you unconditionally. I don't care what you do.
Just to round this all off, I think that this is the role that you were made for.
Thank you. You know,
as much as I sit here and I'm like, you know, it's not all about motherhood and having children, but I know you. And I know how maternal and nurturing you are. I'm getting like really emotional, I just know that you're going to fall into this role of motherhood so beautifully.
Thank you.
I think that this next chapter of your life is
just
going to be so beautiful for you.
Thank you so much.
You and your husband. I just know it is. And this child is going to be so blessed to have you as a mother, as an absolute powerhouse.
Thank you so much. Is it sad to say I've never thought of myself like that?
You should, because that's who you are.
Thought of myself as just someone that just loves people. Not everyone. No, I've got boundaries.
She does. And she's very, she does.
With boundaries. But I'm truly blessed, and I'm happy. And I'm happy, but I think people around me are more happy, which kind of creates a catch-22 thing in my head. But just to round this off, I'm truly blessed to be in the situation that I'm in. I'm blessed to have the support around me. I'm blessed to have you, blessed to have, my husband and the family around me. I don't feel like truly alone. I do feel really vulnerable. And pregnancy is lonely in the sense of like you're the only one going through this in your own body. No one can actually know exactly what's going on in your body apart from yourself. Pregnancy is such a intimate thing and an intimate experience for every single woman that I truly now believe, because I'm going through it now, pregnancy is so custom to every single woman. It's not the same for anyone. I just wish for every woman that wants a child that they get blessed with a child.
And maybe just for the women that are listening that are, really struggling to navigate fertility with whatever you're going through, that just because in our community we don't talk about these topics doesn't mean that you're alone. You're not alone. I hope this opens up a space in a conversation for women who are having fertility issues to maybe turn to one another.
Yeah, exactly.
And to talk to one another openly and to allow that safe space to discuss their emotions and to just have someone to sit with their pain instead of trying to constantly fix it. Because that's what we deserve.
Yeah, I completely agree. I hope that women that are going through fertility issues have someone to turn to, and to actually reach out.
And just don't sit in the silence. It's lonely and it's painful. Don't sit in the silence.
There are women that are going through the same thing. Not everyone. Romanticizing and showing a fake life on social media is not real. It's not real.
And you're like, I feel like we'll just keep talking and talking, but also just know that your worth as a woman in this world is not bound by how many children you have.
Exactly.
It's not bound by you being a bride, a wife, someone's partner. It is just you, as you are worth so much.
Exactly.